What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode, the My Team Experience episode number 9 for the Austrian Grand Prix. Now, we are heading to this racetrack this weekend, so it makes it extra special, and maybe we'll do some kind of Houdini act and predict Carlos Sainz winning his first race, or perhaps someone else winning their first race just around the corner. Anyway, here we go for the second sprint race round of the season. Very much looking forward to this one, and it's a circuit I really enjoy. There's something about me in Austria that we just connect. A bit like Monaco. I feel like I'm cheating on Monaco, but hey, Austria, it's very good, and I think I've got to get myself to that track in real life at some point. It is, well, a beautiful part of the world. Anyway, let's get into this video. Only a 2-day break between last race and this one. Again, quick flurry of episodes, quick flurry of races happening, which means we can't do too much in between to get this car where it needs to be. But what we can do is upgrade, well, our sponsor. We're bringing in a second sponsor. We're sorting by weekly income to see what we can get. A lot of these targets are very lofty. They want top 10 finishes, they want podiums, they want me to out-qualify rivals, complete a clean race. I mean, all these things seem near on impossible. Score 3 Constructors' Championship points during a race weekend. I mean, we can do that, but it's a flash in the pan kind of result. Score more points than the team directly above you. A top 12 finish? That looks a bit more realistic. I think I might actually go for that. The car, well, it's the second worst car in Formula 1 at the moment, but we seem to be punching above our weight. In the last few episodes, we have showcased a bit of pace, myself and Oscar at times. So I think top 12s are perfectly reasonable, especially with the chaotic races we've been getting with AI getting stuck into each other and reliability failures and all sorts going on at the early part of the season. But we're going to modify our livery for now. We've been having some retirements, so I'm thinking if we kind of rearrange the carbon fiber or rearrange the paint scheme and move the gold further to the back where the engine is, that'll help with cooling, but also that's a bigger chunk of the car that's going to be now covered in carbon fiber in the middle, so it'll hopefully make it lighter. We are really struggling for weight, keeping it close to the minimum weight, and we're losing out a little bit to other teams, so hopefully that will sort that out. And now just doing the finishing touches, finding the right gold, and I think we have done just that. Also going from satin black to matte black to kind of fit the rest of the car, fit the front of the car. The matte black in this livery looks really nice, so that's what we're going for now. Let me know if you like it. I certainly do. And when you see it from the T-Cam view, oh my goodness, does it look good with those kind of white or light grey details on the halo. It looks incredible. Anyway, if you're new to this series, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are a very long way from 800k. I can't make promises we're going to hit that anytime soon, but if you do subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And if you're returning, or if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate that. Anyway, we're finally doing some durability stuff, an upgrade to the ICE, which will be a welcome change for us. We also did I believe it was a weight redistribution upgrade, and that's going to be on in time for the Hungarian Grand Prix. But that's literally in 3 races' time, so we're really thinking ahead on that one. We have a weight reduction upgrade, which has gone on in time for this race, and it looks like we have some rain heading our way for the sprint race. So that could be a very spicy end to what is pretty not a fair when it comes to strategy. We might actually see a switch to intermediate tyres. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, upgrade-wise, heading into this race, we did get the minor or major, I don't really know. It was a weight reduction upgrade of sorts, but it's promoted us closer towards the midfield runners. A lot of midfield runners not really opting for upgrades or many upgrades, meaning we've actually made ground on them. So we should be a little bit more competitive, a little bit more closer to potentially points finishes. And Williams have kind of gone with us there. So nice to see that we haven't been demoted to the worst car. Though I feel like that might be coming. We don't have much momentum of getting upgrades on, especially with our failed upgrades. But anyway, we're progressing from practice 1, and now we're going to practice 2. But it's not practice 2. It's actually time for qualifying, and I have left my old engine in the car for the start of this session. I wasn't concentrating. I thought naturally you move from P1 to P2, but no, it's qualifying on the Friday of a sprint race weekend, meaning we've got all of our older components, some of which are actually okay, but we've got a really old turbocharger in there. That's really going to slow us down. Our MGU-H and MGU-K power unit components are pretty knackered too. So we're going to be quite slow if this is allowed to run. Maybe we'll see if we can change our components. We're going to lose 5 to 7 minutes, and we're not going to get a penalty. There is no penalty for this action. So we're actually going to change the turbo. That takes 6 minutes. We've got 11 minutes remaining to get another run in, and we're going to do another component change. That is going to take nearly 12 minutes, which will give us about 4 or 5 minutes at the end of the session to get one final run in. We could change the MGUK as well, but we're not going to have enough time if we do that final upgrade. So we're gonna do one-shot quali here. I simulated practice. I haven't done a single lap around the circuit yet, so this is ultimate pressure, jumping straight in, cold to the game, cold to the car and the setup, loading a time trial setup, which you're seeing on screen now. I have no idea how the car's going to handle with this newly upgraded package, with this new setup around this track, which we haven't driven for, I don't know if I've driven on this game or not, but regardless, it's a high pressure scenario. So here we go, final 3 minutes of qualifying, and we've got to get ourselves into Q2. If we can do so, then we can change another component. So that's my goal, to see if I can out-qualify my teammate Oscar Piastri with no on-track practice. So let's see if we can do just that. It's going to be awfully tough. Anyway, here we go through this middle sector, and I've got to say, the car feels very nice. It's come a long way since the first episode, nearly 10 races ago. But man, this thing really hooks up nicely through the high speed, and I think that's virtue of the recent rear downforce upgrades we've made. So there's so much confidence now at high speed. We now need to work on the low speed stuff, but upgrades aside, I didn't fully have my eye in on that lap, and it's only a 1 minute 5.5, so a long way off the pace. We're a second away from our teammate Oscar Piastri, and for those of you who know, a second is a lot at Austria. It's it's a 60-second kind of circuit. So yeah, we're going to recharge the battery. We're going to go again. We're in none in terms of ERS deployment. You can see we're riding on the brake to try and charge up that battery. We've only got 2 more corners to negotiate before we start our next run, and we've only got 40 seconds to get to the start-finish line. So it's a bit of a balancing act. We've got to charge up the battery, but make sure the tyres don't get too cold. They are picking up a bit of marbles, a bit of rubber on the inside part of the circuit, and also trying to stay out of the way of everyone on fast laps right now. It is an actual nightmare. 20 seconds to go in this session, and this is far from ideal for our chances of getting into Q2. The likelihood is we're probably going to be last or second last in this session, but I don't want to give up. I want to give this a good shot and see if we can find half a second or more on the... well, we need a second, don't we, to beat Piastri, so... well, there's your second, but I think the delta's broken. Qualifying is now complete, and we are on a flying run. We've been caught up by the McLaren, I think of Lando Norris there. So that ultimately points to me that we're not making up enough time on this quali lap, but we're still going to give it everything we can. Tyres have passed their best, and the battery is getting very low. DRS up to the line. We improved by 53 seconds. The 53 seconds is not enough to get us out of last place, would you believe? So, yeah, it turns out in the end, our first lap was our better lap. I think we went a tenth, or I think it was a tenth slower our second lap, so unfortunate. We were kind of set up for failure there. We were underprepared. We were undercooked heading into that race. Needed my eye in a little bit more, and only had one run. So that was... everything was kind of against us in that session, and it means we start the sprint race from last place. At least we have the sprint race to get ourselves up the order and closer towards the front-running pack, but we also need to put in a new component for for the sprint race. Hopefully, we can get away without doing any penalties or anything. If we do have grid penalties for changing engines, then it's a completely different story. I guess we'll find out now. We've dealt with practice 2 now. We've got all the resource points. And I changed to my old components, which was fine. But changing from my old components to my new components just before the sprint race apparently is a no-no. So we've been caught out massively by that, and I'm sure it catches out many other people, because heading into practice 2, Parc Fermé isn't enabled, but after practice 2, I feel like a lot of people will be stuck with their older engines. So just beware, when you guys come up to a sprint race weekend, you've got to run newer components for practice 2, which makes no sense to me. Or by the very end of practice 2, change back to your newer ones. I don't really know. That definitely needs some explaining, because even a seasoned veteran like me has been caught out by that one, which is unfortunate. We're not going to lose out anything anyway, but we'll take the newer components and we'll roll into the sprint with the best performance, hopefully.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top?
Okay, now that we've got some good points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Also, there's one other caveat. That grid penalty is not for this race. The grid penalty for changing our engines is for the main race. So what that means is, wherever we finish in this race, whether we win the sprint race or not, we're still going to start from the back in the main Grand Prix tomorrow. So we are going full send from the back of the grid here in the Austrian Grand Prix. It is all in for the sprints, and let's see what we can do in these 12 laps. I'm going to preface this straight away, guys. If we have no chance of getting points in this race, I am going to retire the car to save engine components. Very key, because if we're no chance of getting points, then what's the point? We've still got the main Grand Prix to save for. So, oh my word, nearly choking on air there as I was gasping at that move up the inside. I really am going balls to the wall for this race.
Tyre condition still looking good.
And that's exactly what you want to hear from the engineer when you're asking about the vehicle condition. It means that the car is fine and we can crack on. P19 in the sprint. Only 12 laps to do this. We could have started on hards, but we opted to start on mediums to be ultra aggressive in this race. Hell, I might have even been tempted by a set of softs, but the game wouldn't let me start on softs for this race. Why is that a thing? I'm sure you guys will know. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if we can opt for those kind of strategies in future races, whenever the next sprint race might be, as we have a massive loss to the back end there through the last corner. Us a little bit too much of the rear tyres, and we over-rotated. Here comes both the Aston Martins as we head into turn 1. Had to squeeze out Vettel there in anticipation of going around the outside of my teammate and the other Aston Martin, and somehow by contact with Piastri, it's allowed me to keep the position even though we overtook off track. So we're going to press on with this race. Here comes Stroll up the inside into turn 3. That is unable to make that stick. We're going to crack on. He's our teammate. I'm pretty sure he doesn't care. Or if he does, he's getting fired. But yeah, Piastri, I mean, it's tough. For someone like him in a car like ours, which isn't great at overtaking, I think his chances of getting points today are pretty minimal. So we're just going to crack on and do everything we can to get inside that top 8. It's not top 10. Points are awarded for the top 8 in the sprint race. So we've really got to go aggressive here and hope that there's a bit of carnage up the road. And as we see Albon getting a little bit held up there behind that train of cars. And unfortunately, we've lost the back end and lost a couple of positions there. And we've got front wing damage. If you were eagle-eyed enough, another fantastic lunge up the inside of Stroll into turn 3. Fantastic, depending on who you're asking. But I'm sure the Aston Martin guys would not be happy with that. And I do not give one iota in this race. We are probably going to pick up some penalty points in this race by the way that we are driving. Maybe a reprimand or two. But yeah, we absolutely don't care. Oh, that's a 3-man overtake into the last corner. And that has come out of nowhere. We got Schumacher, Guan Yu Zhou, And Albon, I think, into the last corner. And this is why. Albon going straight on. It's similar for Guan Yu Zhou, but also Schumacher was like, what the hell am I doing here? He didn't know what was going on, kind of hesitated, and as such, we just got the slingshot run out of there and past 3 people into P13. Ocon is up next. Still got that front wing damage, which doesn't seem to be affecting us clearly. If we can get into the DRS of Ocon, then that'll make life a lot easier for us. So let's see if we can stay with him. We cannot stay with him. He's now outside of 2 seconds at this point, and the lack of pace is starting to show. So I said this at the start of the race, if we have no chance of getting points, we are close to the point, only 6 more positions needed to get a point. But I'm only going to carry on for another lap or 2 and see how this goes, because it's wasted performance otherwise. It doesn't look likely that it'll happen.
Okay, stand by. We see a problem our end and we're looking into it.
Oh, never mind. It looks like the team is going to step in for me. It looks like reliability might KO me anyway before I before I even pull it into the garage myself. So I guess we'll see whether our race is over or not.
Okay, looks like a mechanical failure. We're going to have to ask you to find a safe spot to retire. Sorry about that, mate.
Well, it's over. I'm not really disappointed. We lost nothing. Well, apart from whatever component is blown up in this session. But we save the other components, I suppose. It's last place, not only for myself, but Oscar Piastri as well. Looks like to me he had an unscheduled pit stop because there were a few people who stopped in this race, and Oscar has ended up behind them. Mechanical failure. Unfortunate that we are going to lose a component, but it means we can move into the main Grand Prix that little bit quicker. What a disaster. If that sprint race is anything to go by, then the main Grand Prix is going to be chaotic, to say the least. The pace, though, seems pretty decent.
So, unfortunately, we've picked up some grid penalties and we'll be starting further back than you expect. As for how bad it is, that'll depend on what the other drivers get.
Ah, and it's the turbo we lost as well. That was one of the ones we could ill afford to lose. Once again, we are back down to 1 working turbocharger. We have column 1, but that's a practice turbo at this point. Actually, it's on 90%. We can't even use it anymore. So, yeah, we've already taken a new turbo, the one that just blew up this weekend. So we can't take another new turbo. So we're locked with the one we have, and we are running dangerously short on parts. Concerning.
Welcome from the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and Russell, Norris, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, and Kevin Magnussen, Ocon, Stroll, Sebastian Vettel, and Albon, Bottas, Tsunoda, Guan Yu Zhou, and Oscar Piastri, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty, and Benjamin. And now it's time to head down to the track.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Points? Last race? Does the sprint race not exist? Well, I suppose for us it doesn't. That was a disastrous Saturday for Marduk Motorsport. Oscar Piastri starting P18. What's going on there? Oh, there must be just penalties for those who are starting in between the two of us. Daniel Ricciardo being one of them. So the Aussies are down the order with their backs against the wall in this Austrian Grand Prix. Let's see what we can do in these 36 laps. Bit of strategy involved this time. Potential for safety cars is fairly high with a very high-speed circuit. The AI can sometimes get caught up on each other heading into those last 2 corners with pit stops and people just being aggressive at that part of the circuit. Away we go for the main Grand Prix. And we take a nice tidy line into turn 1. Go around the outside of Schumacher. Ricciardo not having a good start either. I think I saw a front wing missing for Schumacher potentially. Have to have a look at that. But if we go up the inside of Latifi and Schumacher, and Latifi, no, Piastri. I finally got a run. I've done a crofty, but we've been overtaken by those guys again, so it doesn't matter. Let's see if we can get the slipstream of these guys as we head into turn 4. Very nearly losing it all on the back end of that Williams, and it's my teammate who's not got a nose either. What is going on in this race? I haven't seen Piastri crash into anyone. There's George Russell stranded off to the side in the gravel trap. Someone might have some more front wing damage up the road, but my teammate, I swear down, my teammate does not have front wing damage. I think that might be a visual glitch of some kind. But either way, that car looks pretty ominous, and so does ours. We are now missing our front nose. Lando Norris is out of the Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas is out. Lance Stroll, Mick Schumacher, half the field has been involved in that last corner crash. Someone was going slowly into the pit lane, and I guess the others didn't get the memo. Safety car has been deployed, and in all that, I had an illegal overtake on one of the Alpines. Here's George Russell. That makes no sense. That's a massive overreaction from George, and he's in the gravel. I guess it kept him out of harm's way for this. Valtteri Bottas. Oh, just too many people to commentate on there. Lando Norris was in there as well. Here's my oh, that's me. Losing my wing. I just got clipped by someone going slowly, and that was enough for me to lose my wing. Here's Lando Norris. He was in the thick of it. It was Sergio Perez who was going slowly. Then Lando loses his wheel on someone else who's just swung in, and then he's ended up backwards, and what? Someone explain that to me. I don't know what's happened. It's just all happened so quickly. Very dangerous high-speed corner. It's a little bit blind approach as well. Sergio Perez going slowly. Lando gets clipped by the AlphaTauri, which kills his wheel, and then, yeah, everyone, well, a few people could see Lando to slow down, but then the rest didn't get the memo and just ran into the back of the other cars who were going slowly, me included. So, safety car has been deployed. We've lost 4 cars. That's debatably maybe a red flag incident there, but we're pressing on. I'm in the top 10 with a 5-second penalty, no front wing. I'm making a pit stop, and I think my teammate is coming into the pit lane as well. Maybe Oscar did have front wing damage. Maybe he was legitimately missing his entire nose. Though knowing my pit crew, knowing these guys, they probably didn't even put the nose on at the start of the race to begin with. The quality control has not been our finest this season. As we switch to the hard compound tyres, change of front wing. We're going to play the long game here. We served out a 5-second penalty as well, so we're essentially back in the race now, I hope, and back at the somewhere in the queue. Somehow there were still people behind us, which is quite hilarious. Oscar gets his new nose and a set of medium compound tyres, and he is going to go again. He rejoins behind the AlphaTauri. And after all that, we're in P14. So, not a disastrous result. After all that, we've gained 8 spots. So, and we've made a pit stop in this race. We can switch to the mediums later on. This certainly isn't the worst result. We don't have any floor damage, no diffuser damage. It was only front wing, meaning we can press on with maximum pace from here on out with Sergio Perez just in front of us. So here we go once again for green flag running. Here comes Nicholas Latifi up the inside. That was quite late, so I tried to shut the door, and yeah, we got forced a bit wide, and
okay, no issues with tyre wear for now.
Again,
keep taking care of it.
Car is okay, so we're going to press on with this race. Back up the inside of Latifi. He's on soft compound tyres, so he's only going to be fast for like 2 or 3 laps maximum. So if we can keep him behind, then that'll be ideal. I don't want to have to re-overtake him again once his tyres die off. Again, Ricciardo, Albon, etc. They're all squabbling just up the road, and this is for points at this point. Guan Yu Zhou looking a little bit slow on this back straight, perhaps not deploying any ERS. We're going to go around the outside of him on his medium compound tyres. We'll have the inside for the next left-hander if we are willing to spend the battery, which we are, up the inside and into P13. Very, very nice. I think I can see Ricciardo and Magnussen looking a little bit slow up here again. People going defensive, people driving very slowly. We go around the outside. No, we can't get Perez. He was very hesitant there, and as such, we were very hesitant ourselves, and we got no momentum heading on to this start-finish straight. Guan Yu Zhou going around the outside into turn 1. This race is hectic, and it continues at turn 1 as we go around the outside, or up the inside of Sergio Perez. Now we can get Ricciardo and Magnussen. We take to the grass as well to get a double overtake into turn 3. This race seriously needs to calm down. I'm going to lose my voice in this race. Ricciardo with a switchback and gets back up into P9, P10. Oh, someone else take over. I need a co-commentator. Has anyone done the dual commentary for career mode before? That would be interesting. But I certainly need a co-commentator at this point. Here comes Mick Schumacher up the inside. GP with a contact. No, that's not Schumacher. That's Magnussen. It's number 20. See, I need a co-commentator to just take the reins for a minute while I just have a little lie down and just compose myself. I've got no one else. This is nuts as we see the replay. I went in super deep here. I think a bit of the grass affected the tyre performance there. Went straight on a little bit and tried to turn in for turn 3, but just the car was having none of it. So unfortunately, made ever so slight contact with Magnussen. Kind of took a little shark bite out of his front wing. But that shouldn't affect things too much. We've had front wing damage in previous races, pretty sizable front wing damage, and it really doesn't affect the car performance too much, as Oscar Piastri is in, and it looks like he's got a shark bite too out of that left-hand upright of the wing. So that's unfortunate to see him in such quick succession after his first stop. So he's going to be pretty much nowhere in this race. We're going to need another safety car, and to be honest, the way this race is going, I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't even rule out a red flag at this point. I think Codemasters will be willing to do anything in this race. This is quite the unique spectacle we are seeing in this race. George Russell is in with those soft compound tyres, gets off them, goes onto the hards, and he'll be going to the end of the Grand Prix at this rate. 24 laps to go. And yeah, I think a set of hards can easily do that as we see Magnussen up the inside. Those Ferrari-powered cars are so quick in a straight line. Their battery deployments really looks after them at the back end of straights. We can't deploy our battery fully or as much as I'd like to. Otherwise, we end up with nothing within 2 laps. So at this point, I'm just kind of saving my battery for when I need it. And I'm just going to let Magnussen go. I'm going to have his DRS. And hopefully he's going to drag me along in this race. We're only going to get faster as the fuel burns off and people's mediums die off quicker than ours do. As we see Magnussen having a big lockup into turn 3, gives us P10 once again. And, you know, we got the position back without having to expel any battery at all. Meanwhile, this is Daniel Ricciardo. He's a few seconds up the road with some front wing damage of his own. So he had a pretty good pace, all things considered. The fact that he was able to pull away from us with a bit of front wing damage. Up into P9 now. Magnussen, I imagine...
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Oh, no. Not again. Oh, not again. I've lost all composure, lost the back end there. I think our race is over, guys. We've had this message 4 times, 5 times in this season, and every time it's been terminal. It's been an engine.
I can confirm it's an issue with our engine, I'm afraid.
Yeah, there we go.
Fixed,
it's fixed! Oh, so we can still go in this race. I assumed we were gone in this race. But we might still be gone. It is locked into lean revs. You're not supposed to change your engine mix in Formula 1. It's down into lean, the safety car mix, essentially, or something similar to that. So our pace is a little bit slower for the time being, and I hope the guys remotely can fix that. Or I can change a setting on the wheel, anything to dislodge that. And it's gone back up into standard, and we're able to press on once again with natural or normal car pace. So that's nice to see. Magnussen pulling into the pit lane. That right there is why the AI have so many crashes. People don't like to leave space. We do, for the betterment of our front wing. So, yeah, we're still in this race. That's the main thing. I can't believe we have managed to survive an engine issue or a potential niggling issue with the car. We live to tell the tale. Halfway into this race, and what's happened here? We got a yellow flag at turn 4. We might have survived, but our teammate does not. Oscar is out. And it doesn't look like an engine. It doesn't look like it was smoking. I think that's a gearbox. You can either have engine failures or gearbox failures, I believe. Let me know. You guys will know. More so than not, I will. Anyway, Fernando Alonso on fresh tyres, soars right past us. So there's no point fighting that. We're going to let him go through, and we're going to have the DRS of him to hopefully drag us along further in this race. This is something we've been lacking in previous races. We haven't really had the luck, or so much luck, to drag us into a good result, but there might be the potential for some points today if we play our cards right. We can finish on the mediums or we can finish on the soft. Just depends on how... Oh! Safety car has been deployed. And I tell you what, the race leaders have gone through turn 1 already, meaning we can go another lap before making our stop. And I think if we push it like we are now, we can probably go to softs. So I've selected softs as the incoming set of tyres for the rest of this race. The safety car is going to be out for 2 or 3 laps. That takes us to lap 26. So that'll give us about 10 or 11 laps on soft compound tyres to get to the end of this race. And I think that is doable. The tyres will be pretty dead in those last 2 laps. But this is a great chance to fight our way into the points. So we're going to do that. Onto the soft compound tyres. We only had a used set of mediums to put on. So it just makes sense to go onto softs, be super aggressive. So we do have 1 tyre wear upgrade. It will help, but the tyres might be a bit secondhand by the end. So we're going to give it our best shot. We're down in P13. We had to make a pit stop anyway, and it makes sense that we go on the faster tyre, the faster, newer tyre, with everyone else pretty much on hards to the end of the Grand Prix. This is our greatest chance yet to get maybe a top 5 if it really kicks off in this field. So here we go. We've got 11 laps to negotiate in this Austrian Grand Prix. Let's see if we can make some pretty quick ground here as we resume to green flag running. Try not to use too much of our battery. We're forcing Magnussen to go defensive into turn 1. Switch to the outside, and there's yellow flag. It prevents me from getting on the power as early as I would have liked. I would have loved to have soared past Ricciardo there, but I would have got a legal overtake. So we have to bide our time for now. He's boxed in behind Latifi. We go around the outside, heading into turn 3. Ricciardo moves over. We nearly lost our wing on him. We go around the outside, onto the curb, and into P12 in this Austrian Grand Prix. I think we got Sonoda in all of that as well. So that's 2 for 1, if I've ever seen one. Lando Norris, not in this race. Don't know why I brought him up. But it's Albon up next. We go the under and over, slow in, fast down through that long left-hander, and it sets us up nicely for this double right to end the lap. We are now inside the top 10, guys, in this Austrian Grand Prix, and I think crucially we've not cut a corner yet, so we're on target to impress the sponsors. We're on target for that top 12 at least anyway. So let's see if we can make quick inroads on these guys. Russell is next. I do fancy getting past him, Ocon and Vettel as well. Oh, the Aston Martins are still ahead of us, so we can certainly do something in this race as we go up the inside of the Aston Martin up the hill, and Ocon is looking a little bit slow as well. There's a Ferrari up the road going side by side with Sergio Perez, and I tell you what, that might be where our crusade ends in this race. Those 2 cars are in a completely different league to us. Hell, even the Alpine in front of us, it's a good second faster than us, I'd say, at this point in the career mode, but we've got a tyre that's like 2 seconds faster than theirs, so that's making up the difference in the corners. Yeeting our battery as we head into the penultimate corner, and that is P7 for us in this race. Sergio Perez on hards up next. Leclerc's going to be awfully fast on those mediums, so we can forget about him, but maybe if we can cling on to the back of Sergio Perez, then we can hold on to P7, but we've lost DRS to Perez and Leclerc. They're now starting to work together and run away from us with Fernando Alonso towing them along. It's Ocon who overtakes us on the second DRS straight, and it looks like P7 is probably going to be the maximum in this race. It looks like they're catching up to maybe a lap car that's falling back from that next group of cars. But yeah, we got 6 laps to go, and the tyres are now actually, maybe they're past the crossover point, or maybe we're just still faster than them a little bit, but our straight line speed is showing at this point as we had a terrible run out of the last corner. George Russell gets us up the inside, but we are last of the late breakers at turn 1 and hold on to P8. Replay. No, this is live pictures. This is Alonso getting overtaken by Leclerc and Perez. So even Alonso in that Alpine, which is best of the rest and very fast in the straight line, unable to keep those front runners behind, and he's falling into the clutches of his teammate is Alonso. Here comes Russell up the inside. Those Alpines fighting side by side, and were able to get the nice run out of turn 1. I can see potentially a little bit of a scuffed wing there for Fernando Alonso as we head into turn 3. Who's going to come out on top here? Alonso nearly running into the side of his teammates. And we're able to hold on. Okay, nice. P7. 9/10 is the difference to Ocon, but unfortunately that's squabbling with Alonso, and it's going to continue into turn 4. It's going to allow Ocon to run away with this race, and that's nice tactics from Alonso. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's separating the two of us, allowing Ocon to run away and secure those top 6 points for Alpine, because George Russell is a massive threat as well in that Mercedes, and Alonso is doing the rear gunner work on him now, and hopefully that'll just enable me to run away with the current position we have. Here comes George Russell up the inside into the second last corner, throws up the hand in frustration. I don't know what you're expecting there, George, but Nando can't disappear, especially when you have a dive like that into that kind of corner. Meanwhile, Vettel gets George Russell into turn 3, and Russell turns defense into attack. Nearly loses his wing on the side of that Alpine, and that enables... Oh, God, there's so much happening. There is too much happening. Here comes Vettel round the outside, and he gets George Russell once again. Vettel nearly turns defense into attack. He does. The Alpine goes straight on at turn 4, and that relinquishes both Vettel and Russell into P8. Very nice. Here comes Russell again for another trademark dive bomb into the second last corner. Again, at least he's consistent with both the dive bomb and the hand of rage. It's lovely to see. We're getting into the dying laps of this race now. In fact, it might actually be the last lap of this race. These guys are battling so much, it's enabled me to run away with my current position by over 2 seconds. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen claims an easy victory in this Austrian Grand Prix. The home fans, the Dutch army goes wild. Unlike Silverstone, last corner, and we are going to hold on to P7 and 6 points in the Austrian Grand Prix.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Very, very nice. I thought we were out of this race with that failure, but we made the most of it. Big points for the team. Let's carry this into the rest of the season.
Smiling faces on the pit wall then after that superb win here in Spielberg, and rightly so. A brilliant effort from the whole team. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
They definitely are. They're coming good at this midpoint of the season. Early on, it was Leclerc dominating. Then we had a phase where Carlos Sainz started winning from, I don't know, Spain onwards. And then last race and this race, it is all Max Verstappen. So looks like a 3-horse race for this championship. You can't write off Sergio Perez either. He's been consistent. He hasn't had his winning streak yet. Maybe that's the new flavour in Formula One, potentially after the mid-season break. We'll have to wait and see, but that has been a very chaotic sprint race weekend. We had an engine failure in the sprint. We had, oh my god, so much dogfighting in that first race. Absolutely nothing to lose. In this one, we had an engine scare ourselves. We lost our wing, we lost our teammate, we lost our composure. Was there anything we held on to in this race? Ah yes, the points. And that is all that matters, ladies and gentlemen. We get 6 points out of this Formula One weekend, and by that means, it has not been a wasted weekend. We do lose a few components, our turbocharger being one of them, so we only have one working turbocharger. We've used 4 of them. I think we might have up to 6 to use for the season. Don't quote me on that. We might be able to get components 7 and 8. I'm not actually too sure. But if it is 6, then yeah, we've got to stretch those quite far to the rest of the season, and we've already lost our first column as well. Either way, solid progress in the drivers. Constructors, we're not really going anywhere. Aston Martin found some points this weekend, so they are starting to edge their way towards us and apply that pressure. So we can't underestimate them. They were very quick this weekend. We saw Vettel absolutely flying. Stroll was threatening me at points in the Grand Prix as well. I mean, Vettel overtook George Russell at points. He was very fast, so we can't rule those guys out. And are they the slowest team? They might be ahead of us. I think it's Williams behind us. Either way, the performance index at the moment can't really be trusted. We're the second worst team on paper, yet today we got P7 and we're looking very threatening. Even Oscar was quite pacey at the start. It's just a shame that we just don't have the reliability to get to the end of a Grand Prix. It's just been rather unlucky. Some Red Bull Honda power unit cars are bulletproof, like Verstappen, like Sergio Perez, but the AlphaTauris and us, where's that reliability? It's nowhere. So let's hope we can turn this around in the next few races. We are addressing the reliability ourselves. Whether Honda wants to do it or not, it remains to be a thing, but we'll do everything we can on our side to make the car better, both performance-wise and reliability-wise. So it's a work in progress, and we are getting there. Slowly, race by race, even if we are falling backwards in the development race. Once we get those facility upgrades on, we'll be flying. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this chaotic Austrian Grand Prix weekend. We head to the French Grand Prix next. We have our contract negotiations to do with Oscar Piastri. How's that move into turn 3? So there's lots to look forward to in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.